Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Something Super Spiritual. I have our local astrologist with us, Dena DeCastro. Thank you so much for coming back to talk about all these big things that are happening right now that we need to know about.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeffrey. It's always so great to be on with you.
Thank you. So let's talk about what's going on out there in the stars. What is it that's happening with us right now?
Well, the main thing that's going on is that we're just coming out of an exact conjunction between the planets Jupiter and Uranus. And if you can imagine it from the Earth's perspective, if you look out, those two planets are in the same spot in the sky. And so they're lining up. They're in the same spot in the zodiac, in kind of the later degrees of Taurus. And that's, a big deal because that only comes around about every 13, 14 years
Oh,
approximately.
wow.
So it's a cyclical thing. And it's the basic themes of that are expansion and breakthrough. Okay. So Jupiter is about growth and expansion. Uranus is about breakthrough, innovation, experimentation. And you bring those two forces together, and it's like, explosion. Um, and so, you can look at that in terms of what's happening in the collective right now. Uranus is definitely the archetype of the rebel or the revolutionary, and we're seeing a magnified focus on those themes for sure, especially in our country right now. But you can also always take these energies and then apply it down to your personal, your specific life. And if you know your chart a little bit, you want to look at where 20 to 25 degrees Taurus is in your chart to see what area of life is this lighting up right now? Where do I want to have a breakthrough? Where can I experiment, innovate, or rebel against something that has been keeping me down and keeping me chained in some way or not feeling so free? So if you know your chart, that's helpful, but you don't have to know it to really focus on those bigger archetypes of breakthrough, revolution, expansion, etc. And so that's in influence right now, all the way through the end of May, roughly. And then Jupiter does another big thing. It moves into a new sign. So these two things are happening right alongside each other in the spring here. And I feel like that there's a bigger Jupiter theme going on, but I want to spend more focus on that Jupiter entering Gemini, which happens on May 25th, because it will be in Gemini all the way to June of 2025, June 9th, actually. So, yeah, so it's like Jupiter goes through a sign about every year, it goes into a new sign. It stays there for a year. And therefore, it takes 12 years to go all the way around the wheel. So the last time that Jupiter was in Gemini was 2012 to 2013. So just to give a little perspective.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So you can, there are different ways you can look at these cyclical transits with astrology. You can go back and look at what was happening the last time in my
Yeah.
life that this was occurring. The last time Jupiter was in Gemini was June 2012 to June 2013. It doesn't mean those same things are going to happen again because we're all always growing and changing and evolving, right? And life is different now than it was 12 years ago for most of us, So um the way it's going to manifest in your life is different, but there might be some themes that are going to recur, and you can be prepared for that. You can prime your mind for that by understanding the themes of the transit. So any questions on like any of those pieces so far, or that
So
you think the audience might wonder?
yeah, so Jupiter, the planet of about relating to expansion. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've also heard luck,
Yes.
opportunity,
Yep.
growth,
Totally.
um, combined with Gemini, which Gemini is, and this is a so super layman's uh description right now. But
Mm-hmm.
Gemini to me, Geminis are very social and um
Yep.
friendly and I mean outgoing and what would we look at? Like what would be
Mhm.
a theme that would give us an aha in our life? What would be a theme?
Yeah, so Gemini is the sign that is really about the mental level and communication, um, learning and educating ourselves, expanding our mind. That's, one of the big themes of Jupiter and Gemini is about expanding your mind in whatever ways that you see fit to do that. That might be through taking a class, on something that you've been interested in, but just haven't given yourself the opportunity
Mhm.
to do, or it could be going on a trip to explore a place that you haven't been before in order to expand your horizons and expand what you know. Those are examples of things that you might do under Jupiter and Gemini and that are going to be supported during this time. But it's also about confronting the boundaries of your own beliefs. I want to talk a little bit about this because I think
Ooh,
this is
yeah.
like, yeah, this is like the juicy part for me because any transit, it's always saying, here's the lessons on your plate right now. Are you going to take the challenge? Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what universe is saying through these astrological symbols. And so I feel like this is what's on our lesson plan for this time between May 25th and next June is to think about what are the boundaries that your own beliefs are creating in your life that are blocking you. What are the beliefs that you have been confining you? And now it's time to get back to a beginner's mind and a lot of those beliefs and open up your curiosity again. Open up to new ways of looking at
Yes.
life, at your own beliefs even. That's really hard to it's harder than it sounds to
Oh,
confront your own
totally.
belief
Hmm.
systems,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
say, am I right about that? Is this really the truth? Or maybe the truth has changed.
Yeah.
Maybe the truth isn't what it used to be for me, right? So that's a big one, I think, for people to really look inside their minds and say, what are the thoughts and the beliefs that are running my show, right? And then let's shake it up. Let's expand that. I feel like the Jupiter Uranus conjunction that's just happened in the, it went from March, April, and then really through almost the end of May. This has been like a preparatory time to shake us up and get us woken up and looking at things differently. And then Jupiter and Gemini, that whole transit really is about questioning our oldest, most deeply held beliefs within ourselves and then being open to exploring new things, exploring new ideas, exploring other people's ways of looking at things. Really could be good medicine for this time, we're going into in this country, but just in
Hugely.
general,
Yeah,
you know.
hugely. Yep. Yep.
I always say Gemini is about the balance between talking and listening.
Yeah.
And when you get the balance right, that's where learning happens. That's where the most fertile ground is with Gemini. But shadow Gemini, and we know, as I always say, everything has a shadow, right? And we've talked about shadow stuff here on the show. The shadow of Gemini is a lot of talking and not listening. And we could definitely fall into that too this year. And so that's the warning of this time, this year ahead is to check in with yourself and saying, how much listening am I doing versus how
Yeah.
much talking? How much just blabbing about what I think am I doing versus actually listening to the person in front of me or the person on the screen or
Mhm.
whatever it
Mhm.
is,
Huge. Huge. I
Yeah.
love that you brought up shaking up belief systems because Suzanne Giesemann calls the belief system BS. You know,
Yeah.
and it's true if you think
Yeah.
about it. A belief is nothing more than a thought
Your own
over and over and
BS,
over and over again, and it's so much of it is BS.
right? The BS
So
we tell ourselves every day. Yeah.
totally,
Yeah.
totally.
Yep.
So I love this. I love this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a really big shift from, Jupiter has been in Taurus. It's currently in Taurus as we record this. And then it's been in Taurus since last May. And Taurus is very grounded in earthy energy. It's about connecting to the body. It's about checking in with your relationship to your money, your resources. And we've been doing all that stuff. That's where the energy of expansion and good luck and opportunity has been coming in for a lot of us. It's like time to look at the money stuff and the health stuff, because that piece has to be, you have to lay a good foundation to then go on to the next piece of the puzzle, which is the mental level.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's that old physical, mental, emotional, spiritual thing, that the 4 different ways that we grow in our lives and in ourselves. And we've been really working on the physical and growth there and evolution there. And now we're shifting into the mental realm. It's like, what are your beliefs doing to your life? And how can we shift this? How can we learn? So this is such a big opportunity, using a Jupiter word, to learn in this next year ahead. And if we can view it as that, each of us can view it as, I'd like us each to challenge ourselves to think, what do I need to learn? And we all need to learn something. If you don't think you need to learn something, you're probably not listening to this podcast, or you're not very humble. But like, we all need to learn something, if not many things.
So okay.
Yeah.
So towards the beginning, you had suggested, if we know our charts, pay attention to where 25-degree-ish Taurus is in your chart to know what house it is. So mine is at like 22 degrees, is within my 8th house. So that's it's in the 8th house. So what does that mean for people like me?
Great question. So right now, you've just had this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction still in your 8th house, which is the house of intimacy, close connection. On another level, it's also called the house of shared resources. So it is a money house.
Okay.
It sounds like 2 really different things. And that's sometimes how the houses operate, is they are multi-layered, but it's both. So, and the intimacy part of it, it would be about, hey, Jeff, this is a time of having potential breakthroughs in the area of intimacy, meaning not just intimacy, sexuality, but intimacy, close emotional connection with the people in your life.
Yeah.
And the close others in your life.
Yeah.
And also with yourself, like really getting to know yourself better. That's an 8th house, on a deep level, being radically honest with yourself about yourself.
Know thyself.
Know thyself. This is a time of really getting to know Jeffrey better during this spring period, that we've had this Jupiter-Uranus going on.
Yeah.
And the money piece too is there, like, on a real practical level, the 8th house is the house of shared resources. So partnering up with people, teaming up, collaborating, these are all things where you could have like an aha moment, perhaps an innovative idea about partnerships and how they support you making more money. And
oh my gosh.
both of you.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually been happening.
Totally. Yeah. That's how astrology does work sometimes. Like, that's really obvious.
Yeah. That is the synchronicity that I love about these blueprints, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's just like, it just, there's so many ahas if we get to know our landscape within that wheel, and it's uncanny, and it's sometimes surreal, but there's a real deal in here. And that's why I love having you in here. That's why I love having you here to talk to everybody. Okay.
Thank you.
So, that's happening for me in my 8th house. Is this does this have to do with Jupiter entering Gemini?
It could, because, it's not very far degrees wise from where Jupiter will enter 0 Gemini. So for example, right now, Jupiter's at the end of Taurus. It's in the final degrees of Taurus over these next couple of weeks. And then it's going to move into Gemini. So wherever 0 Gemini is for you, and it might be in that 8th house for you still. It could be into the 9th. I don't know. But I'm guessing it might still be in the 8th. Then it just continues, these themes. But it'll be more about the learning and beliefs part around that, around intimacy, around collaboration and money, and looking at where is it time to expand your ideas about what that could look like, or let go of some old beliefs that you've had that have been holding you back from growth in that area. You know, and I always think that with Jupiter, it shows us where there are areas for growth, and therefore it's going to bring up what we're discontented about. So people don't often think about that, and that's a concept I learned from my teacher Stephen Forrest about Jupiter. Is it's not just about, you know, good luck, yes, opportunity, yes, all those great things we think about with Jupiter. And also, we might feel really discontented sometimes when we're undergoing a personal Jupiter transit. Let's say Jupiter is on one of your planets, or it's in a potent place in your chart. You might feel this discontent coming up because it's getting you ready to make the change that wants to happen. It's pointing to, here's what's not working.
Yes.
Right?
It's shoving you into that discomfort zone. It's getting you out of your comfort zone.
Completely. I mean, that's what Jupiter's all about, is getting out of your comfort zone, really. You know, and that's also an underplayed or under talked about part of Jupiter is, it's, you get the good luck and the opportunity and all that, but it doesn't just land in your lap. You actually have to reach out and get it. You need to expand in order to meet Jupiter.
Yes, I say that often. You have to meet spirit halfway. There's action steps that we need to take in this body. And
absolutely,
that makes all that sense in the world. Like, for instance, for me, like let's say for me, in my comfort zone, I am not in front of very many people. But Jupiter comes around, and all of these opportunities are coming at me where I'm suddenly in front of more and more and bigger and bigger and bigger audiences, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Talk about being shoved out of the comfort zone. So that's, I mean, that's just one example of how I understand Jupiter having, shoving us out. Get out.
Oh, completely. Yeah. I mean, I could say in my own life too, I think, and I'm looking at where Jupiter is for me and how it's been in my house of spiritual connection, my house of spirit, my 12th house.
Yep.
And so I've been really looking at, kind of discarding some old routines and habits. That's the Jupiter part, or the Jupiter and Taurus part in my spiritual practices, and then mixing it up and doing new and different things there and having some breakthroughs. Like, oh, I really don't need to. I've codified certain things like a religion that I didn't realize I'm doing because I'm not a religious person, and I grew up very much in fundamentalist Christianity. And so I resist that. But it's funny then how our brain wants to kind of do the same familiar things that it did in childhood, right? So you make other things into a religion. And that's the thing I've been confronting in myself with this transit, being like, oh, my spiritual practice, I can mix it up and do whatever I want. And it's really about me and my connection with spirit. It's not about pleasing any external authority, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a breakthrough. Like that's a breakthrough I had. And I think for all of us, a question your listeners could ask themselves is, over the past 2 months specifically, let's go back to early March, let's say, what breakthrough have you had? Or breakthroughs, maybe there's more than one. And then to honor that, like to honor the work that you've done, to have that breakthrough. Yeah, it's not easy.
No, that comes up all the time in readings. And I always want to acknowledge and honor that hard work, doing the work the work that we're here for, whether it's, forgiveness or compassion for those who may have hurt us, compassion for, the cranky neighbor next door, just, all of this really, which ultimately leads to really compassion within, because what is within is without. And if we're super critical and super judgmental, to those around us, we
Yeah.
are really, really critical and super judgmental of our own self, on our own insides and our own actions, behaviors, whatever we did in the past that we feel maybe we probably, woulda, coulda, shoulda, all the way, all the way home.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
100%.
it's yeah. And we're working through all of that and seeing through the eyes of compassion and acceptance and unconditional love, that's hard work. Woo! That's hard work. So yeah,
That is,
honor
that
that,
is.
respect that, and own it, and celebrate it because it's
Yeah.
awesome. Mm.
And yeah, totally. I agree with you 100% on all that. And I think that, that's the opportunity of this Jupiter and Gemini too, is seeing through another person's eyes can be part of it. Like
Mm.
the really listening, the really paying attention to what somebody is saying, and then understanding how somebody else thinks can then lead to empathy.
That's
And
it.
it really is a time to try to understand how somebody else thinks and what their perspective is.
Yep.
I feel like I've been beating that drum for a long time, but there have been other transits that have spoken to that over the past couple of years, because boy, do we so need it right now,
Yeah.
and that's how I do think it works, how universe works with astrology, is it's giving us these messages through the planets and the signs, and it comes at the time that we need it the
Yeah.
most because of that. There's a divine order. um so that's the opportunity, is like, if you think opportunity and good luck is all fun and games, it's not necessarily. We have to, like you say, meet spirit halfway and grow and move out of our comfort zone here. With anything to do with Jupiter transits, we need to do that.
Go Jupiter. Here we go.
Yeah. Yes, it's a very
Um,
eventful Jupiter time this spring, with it changing signs, with it just, moving out of soon, this Jupiter Uranus conjunction.
mhm.
But I mean, on the really positive side of that, it's a time of total opportunities for expansion, good luck, new things coming in, a lot of fresh new energy coming in with that for sure.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting.
It is very exciting. It's very exciting.
Mhm. It's and
Yeah.
it, and it kind of it falls in line with, lately I've been saying this more and more on my shows or maybe in readings, but this particular phrase has been coming up more and more over the last 4 or 6 weeks. And it's the phrase of make the rest of this year your yes year.
I love
Make
it.
the rest of this year your yes year. Say yes,
Mm-hmm.
even when
It's
it's super
Jupiter's,
uncomfortable.
I know. Jupiter is the yes planet.
Yeah.
So that totally works. And I mean, of course, I'm a moon Saturn conjunction person. I'm very cautionary. So the caution I would give with that
Mhm.
is, or the caveat is, Jupiter and Gemini can also, make us somewhat scattered if we're not careful. We could spread ourselves too thin. We could
Mhm.
say yes to too many things.
True. That's true.
So that, I think the instinct is right that you have, which is say yes to the things that scare you a little bit,
That's it.
that that's going to move you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And you just need to try it. You just need to try something new. Um, you will grow from the experience no matter what.
Uh-huh.
And I'd just say, of course, be discerning about, like, when you're feeling spread too thin or when you're feeling fried and just scattered. That's very Gemini shadow stuff, and that can happen too. So that's a signal to look for. It's like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm fried. I'm burned out. That's like Jupiter and Gemini and overdrive happening, and
Uh-oh.
that
Okay.
can
That's
go there
good to
too.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, okay, then that means you need to pare it down to the most important things you want to pursue. And again, it probably will be there will be some opportunities that are going to scare you and take you out of your comfort zone. But maybe, you don't want to put so much on your plate that you lose the learning opportunities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a balance, like anything.
Thank you. Did we get everything we wanted to talk about?
I think so. Those are kind of the big, those are the highlights and the biggest themes of both of those
Awesome.
Jupiter things happening. So
I
yeah.
love that. I love that. Dena, tell us what you have going on. I know you've been doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
I know you've been doing a lot of work and expansion your own self this year. So talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm offering a new service, which is called Transit Your Year. And it's an opportunity to work with me over the course of a year. And we do readings every 3 months. So you get 4 readings in this package. But it's great for those of you who want a more regular check-in with astrological guidance. And so we do that reading, at the beginning of the 3-month period. And then after each reading, you'll also get a guide from me, like a post-session written guide that tells you, here are all the big things that are coming up for you. Here are some of the things that we talked about in your reading. And here are the specific time frames for you to pay attention to, such as Mercury retrograde periods or eclipse periods. And that will all be written out. That's not something I do in my regular readings. So this is a really value-packed, additional offering. And so if you want to find out more about it and get on the wait list, please go to www.denadecastro.com/transit-your-year. And on that page, you'll find out all about the program. You can get on the wait list. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at denadecastro.com via email. So
That's really awesome. It's really awesome. I mean, I've come to you for how many years for just a touch base, a checkup,
yeah.
Just for each year to see what the energy is, what's happening in the next coming up, and just kind of plan my own planning, It's so helpful. It is so helpful. This is a really unique offering. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey. It took me a long time to kind of develop it and work it through and figure out what is going to really help people the way I want to and can be of most help.
Yeah.
And I often get the feedback from people over the years after I do one reading, like, well, how do I continue with this? How do I work with this and be more interactive with astrology in my life, basically?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this amazing information. Thank you for being here again. We're going to have you, we've got more things coming up this year that we'll have to talk about.
There's always more. Mm-hmm. There's always more. Absolutely.
Yeah. You guys, I will have Dena's website. I will have the link directly to this page, this new service of hers. I highly, highly recommend you guys take a look at Dena and her work. She's so helpful. She's helped me for years now. And that's why I really, truly just so grateful that you're here to share all of this with everybody in this audience. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. I'm really, really appreciative of you and your podcast and all the work you're doing as well. It's awesome and amazing. So thank you. Yeah.
All right, you guys, this has been another little mini episode. We just wanted to get this important information out to you. So thank you very much for being here with us again at Something Super Spiritual. My name is Jeffrey Peck, and we'll be talking again very soon. Thank you, Dena.
Thank you.
Thank you again for listening to the Something Super Spiritual podcast. If you know someone who would enjoy this episode, please do share it with a friend. For show notes, links, and to purchase a mediumship reading, my website is somethingsuperspiritual.com. You can also easily subscribe and follow the show on your favorite app, sign up for my newsletter for bonus content, and to keep the conversation going, you can easily join the Facebook community. It's all right there at the website, somethingsuperspiritual.com. Signing off for now, namaste.